Hey guys, it's Melanie here with Christian YA Books and More, and I'm here to give you the coffee book tag. I'm really excited to whoever made this tag because seriously it is awesome, and who doesn't like coffee and books? Because I know I do. We named our book club after that because Angela is all about coffee and books, and so am I. So very cool tag. Thank you to the original person who I will link down below in the description box. And let's get started into the coffee book tag. I do actually have coffee in here and it is steaming. It's quite hot and I like hot coffee. So yes, it's nummy stuff. Okay, so for the first, I'm sure everybody already has seen this around, so I'm sure everybody already knows what the coffee book tag is all about. So I'm just gonna go right in and start with the first question. I have to do it on my computer over here, so just 1 second. And of course, you guys know I can't edit until after I get my new computer, so keep that in mind. The first question is Black. Name a series that's tough to get into but has hardcore fans. I'm going to actually start with Francine Rivers. She's got a great series. I think this is book 3 in the series, Mark of the Lion series, and I've heard so much. She's got a hardcore fan base, but these books are really big. They're huge and they're quite intimidating for me, and I need to get into it. I picked up book 3, so now I gotta pick up book 1 before I start the series. And so yeah, I really can't wait to read this, but it's definitely one of those ones that's probably hard for me to get into because it's so intimidating, but is an amazing read and has hardcore fan base. So yeah, that's Francine Rivers, and this one is the Mark of the Lion series. Then the number 2 is Peppermint Mocha, which is anything peppermint is amazing to me, with chocolate, like so good. And that is name a book that gets more popular during the winter or festive times of year. I would have to say, I don't have the book with me because I had actually borrowed the series from somebody else and I had to give back the book, but I would say the Chronicles of Narnia. I think in wintertime you definitely get a bigger read into it. It's so cool to go back into, of course, with snow and different things like that. It's a huge series, so you can take it at any season, but it's really, really good. So I would say Chronicles of Narnia, and yeah, so that's one of them. Number 3 is Hot Chocolate, which is awesome in the wintertime. And that's what is your favorite children's book? I had a really hard time picking one. I really have a lot of books that have stood out to me because it's really hard for me to read, and growing up it was like the scariest thing to read. But there are these books that just really spoke to me and really got me interested in reading, even though I didn't start really reading until I was like 18 years old. But anyways, so I picked a couple. There's one missing and it's like, I forget what it's called, and she's got like these red boots and it's her favorite color is red, and she's really, really cute, and I forget what it's called. I did recently see it, and I need to get a hold of that book, and I want it in my house for myself and my kids, of course, but more for me. Anyways, and so I picked up these ones. The first one is Brown Bear by Bill Martin and Eric Carle. Now, this one is Brown Bear. There's also, in the first one is what actually really caught my attention in kindergarten, was Hungry Caterpillar. That one was so cool and I love it, and I bought that for my kids. I don't know where it is. It's in one of my kids' rooms, and I tried to find it for this video, but I seriously couldn't find it because they love that book and it's gone all the time. So that's one of them. The second one, I only have 4, guys, is Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson. This book is awesome, and it's just, for the visual person that I am and the daydreamer that I am when I was in school, man, this is just amazing. And just the cool fact that he can, with a purple crayon, just design this whole like dream world is so neat. I loved this book when I was growing up. And most of this is from my librarian. My mom is not a big reader, and I grew up with her, and so like a lot of this was from the library at my local school. So big kudos to those guys that work really hard. For the older children's books that I started getting into, that I didn't really get to read very well, but I got read to me, or I saw the movie for it and then I realized it was a book form and learned more about it, is Little House in the Big Woods. This was one of my first chapter books that I had to read and was so good. And then Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Oh, just so good. I've read these both aloud to my children and they love them. Very awesome books. And so yeah, I couldn't just pick one. I had to pick 4, guys. Sorry. Then we're gonna go into question number 4, and that is Double Shot of Espresso. So name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. I would have to say I have 2 books for that as well. So the first one's Divergent by Veronica Roth, and the second is The Last I Remember by Andrew Clavin. If anybody doesn't know, I love this series. It is literally start to finish, like on the edge of your seat. It is impactful, like action impactful, like it's just like every chapter you're moving and it's just crazy. I love this series. And then Divergent is very good. It's not as like action from the edge of your seat for the entire time, but the pacing of this story is actually so well written. It's very much like Hunger Games, and I would probably put a Hunger Games in there as well. But yeah, I had only read the first book of the Hunger Games, but the pacing is like that, very similar. But this book I actually read and I really felt like this was on the edge of my seat, and I really can't say enough about this one. Yeah, so that's my answer for that question. Then you have, hold on, my books are starting to fall. Then you have Starbucks, name a book that you see everywhere. I'd have to go also with either the Chronicles of Narnia or Divergent, or one of those kind of popular books. I don't have the covers for those except for the Divergent one, which you just saw. But yes, that's what I would do for that. Number 6 is the Hipster Coffee Shop. Give a book by an indie author a shout out. I totally love that they have this question in here because indie authors are really hard workers and they really try to get their stuff out there. I don't know if this is, I think this is actually with a, hold on a second. Stout-Hearted Publishing. So I don't know if this is actually an indie book, but I thought it was. So it's Defire, the Girl Who Stood by Mandy Fender. She's awesome. She just came out with book number 2. I think book number 3 is she's working on right now. So I can't wait to get Sparrow book number 2. But I just wanted to give her a shout out because yeah, I just did. And then of course my first book was indie published, and that is Reality, Darkness into Light. So I'll give a shout out to myself too. Self-promo, whatever. And then we have number 7. And that is, oops, I accidentally got decaf. I've been wanting to switch to decaf just so I can drink less caffeine, but I have not wanted to do that because I'm a little afraid of how it's going to taste. So yeah, then I continue drinking coffee. But anyways, so name a book that you were expecting more from, and I picked Spark in the Swipe series by Evan Angler. I was really lost in this one. I love this series and I started it. I have not finished it. I got stuck on this book. I was really hoping for a lot more for this book, but I just didn't get that. And unfortunately, it was like getting decaf for me. I wish I wanted to really love this book. I just really had a hard time getting into it. So yeah. Then number 8, The Perfect Blend. I love, my husband is the coffee guy here. He makes the coffee at home, but I like to buy 2 different kinds of coffee and blend them because I find it actually tastes a lot better, but whatever. I don't know if anybody else does that, let me know in the comments below if you do that, but we do get the beans, we grind them, and I like getting 2 different kinds and just kind of having the perfect blend. But for a book recommendation, it says name a book or series that was both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. And with that series, I went with Lisa T. Bergren's The Remnant series. So this is the first book. This is the second book, Season of Fire. And this is the third book. I started this book, and I need to get the hardback because this is paperback. But anyways, I started this book and I loved it. I love the series. But there was a lot of bitter things in here, and I thought, oh, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. And then I got this book and there was a lot more bitter stuff in here. But in the end, I was so satisfied with this book. I'm so glad I got to read the entire series because this book was so good. So that would be my pick for number 8, The Perfect Blend. I also liked a lot of the analogies in there towards Christianity and the Bible, and very similarities to that. So I really appreciated that final wrap-up book, Seasons of Glory, in the end. It really hit the nerve for me. I was like, yes, this is so good, in a good way. And then that's it. I tag you. I don't know if Angela's done this video or not, or Sara Ella, but those two girls I definitely will tag. Anybody else, definitely it would be nice to see what you come up with for your book recommendations that you would choose for these questions. And in the meantime, happy reading. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.